the hidden treasure that is transforming the lives of those who suffer from bone pain. What if I told you that millions of Americans throw away a powerful natural remedy for joint pain every day? What if the solution to that persistent pain in your back was precisely in what you consider garbage? Can you imagine discovering that the answer to strengthening your bones is right in your kitchen, completely free? We live in an era of expensive supplements and sophisticated treatments, while ignoring natural treasures that our ancestors used wisely for generations. When we talk about bone health, we often look far for what is so close, spending fortunes on solutions that promise miracles while discarding the essentials. Have you ever felt that pain in your joints when you get out of bed in the morning? Let's get started. Discover the natural remedy hidden in your trash can. What do you do with eggshells after making your breakfast? You probably throw them away without a second thought. It's an automatic habit for most of us Americans. Crack the eggs, use the contents, and discard the shells. But if you knew the medicinal potential hidden in those fragile shells, you would never see them as garbage again. We are talking about one of the purest and most bioavailable calcium supplements that exist in nature. A treasure that is literally being thrown in the trash every day in millions of homes. Think about it. While people pay fortunes in industrialized calcium supplements, nature offers us a free solution. We are so conditioned to seek complex solutions that we ignore the simplest and most effective ones. Eggshells contain approximately 95% calcium carbonate, the same substance found in our bones and teeth. It's as if nature has designed a perfect package. Nutritious protein inside, bone supplement outside. Scientific studies conducted at the University of Massachusetts have shown that eggshell powder is easily absorbed by the body. Unlike many synthetic supplements that pass through the body without being properly used, eggshell calcium is recognized and used efficiently by our system. In countries like Japan and parts of Latin America, this practice has been traditional for generations. Wise grannies dry, grind, and add this powder to everyday foods as a natural fortifier. Meanwhile, we continue to spend millions on industrialized supplements that often contain unnecessary additives. The irony is that we seek sophisticated solutions while discarding one of the purest and most effective. But how exactly can this powder help people with joint pain and bone problems? What if I told you that this is just the beginning of a journey of discovery that can completely change your relationship with pain? The ancient secret that turns trash into gold for your bones. When we think of ancient civilizations, we rarely imagine their sophisticated medicinal solutions. The use of eggshells as a calcium supplement dates back to ancient cultures in different parts of the world. In traditional Chinese medicine, eggshell powder was prescribed to strengthen bones, teeth, and even to balance energies. Native American peoples incorporated ground bark into their preparations to help growing children and the elderly in pain. In rural communities in Eastern Europe, it was common to add this powder to convalescent soups to speed recovery. These are not simple superstitions, but practices based on observation and experience accumulated over generations. Modern science is finally confirming what these peoples have always known. The peels contain not only calcium, they are rich in strontium, magnesium, fluoride, and other minerals essential for complete bone health. A study published in the International Journal of Food Sciences and Nutrition proved the effectiveness of bark powder. The researchers observed a significant increase in bone density in participants who consumed small daily doses. Most impressively, they discovered that the thin membranes found on the inside of the shell contain collagen and other proteins that enhance calcium absorption. This explains why some people report such quick results when starting this practice. Dr. Richard Thompson, an integrative medicine specialist at the University of Colorado, says this is a perfect example. He considers it an example of how natural solutions often outperform synthetic ones in efficacy and safety. The human body evolved by consuming calcium from natural sources, not from pills produced in a lab, he explains. The pharmaceutical industry would rather you didn't know this, obviously, as there is no way to patent eggshells. There is no millionaire marketing promoting something that you can prepare in your own kitchen without spending practically anything. But the truth is that many people are rediscovering this ancient treasure and sharing impressive results. And you, have you ever stopped to think about how many powerful natural solutions we are ignoring in the rush of everyday life? Truth or myth? What no one told you about eggshells. Whenever we talk about natural remedies, doubts and myths arise that need to be clarified. Eggshells are no exception, and there are several misconceptions that deserve our attention. At first, many fear that consuming eggshells could cause salmonella or other bacterial infections. This fear is understandable, but completely avoidable by following the correct cleaning and preparation process. The truth is that the process of boiling and dehydration effectively eliminates any pathogen present in the shell. Another common myth is that the calcium in the peel would not be absorbed by our body because it is too coarse. Scientific studies show otherwise. When properly processed, the calcium carbonate in the husks has excellent bioavailability. In fact, researchers at the University of Oklahoma found that its absorption may be superior to that of many commercial supplements. There are also those who say that regular consumption of bark powder can cause kidney stones due to excess calcium. The truth, based on scientific evidence, is that natural calcium, when consumed in the correct doses, helps prevent, not cause, the formation of kidney stones. It is the excess of synthetic calcium, combined with low water intake, that poses a risk to predisposed people. Some professionals question whether bark powder actually contains enough calcium to make a noticeable difference. Nutritional analysis shows that 1 teaspoon contains approximately 800 to 1,000 milligrams of bioavailable calcium. This represents practically 100% of the daily requirement of an adult in just a small dose. On the other hand, a true myth is that any shell will do. In fact, it's preferable to use organic eggs. These contain fewer pesticide and antibiotic residues, resulting in a purer and safer supplement. It is also false to think that only seniors benefit from this natural supplement. Athletes, pregnant women, growing adolescents, and people with nutritional deficiencies also report significant benefits. Science continues to advance and confirm what popular wisdom already knew. Sometimes, the simplest solutions are the best. And you, are you ready to separate fact from fiction and give this underrated resource a chance? Step by step, how to turn peels into a safe supplement. Preparing eggshell powder at home requires specific care to ensure maximum safety and effectiveness. The process begins with the selection of shells, preferably from organic eggs or free-range chickens. After breaking the eggs for culinary use, set the shells aside and wash them thoroughly under running water. Use a small, soft brush to remove any white or yolk residue that may have been left adhered to. A little-known trick is to add a teaspoon of white vinegar to the wash water. This helps to eliminate impurities and reduce the risk of bacterial contamination that could be present on the surface. After washing well, it's time for the first crucial process: boiling the peels for 10 minutes. This step is non-negotiable, as it eliminates practically 100% of the possible pathogens present. Observe the skins during boiling. You will notice that some impurities can rise to the surface of the water. After boiling, drain the skins and place them on a clean baking sheet with no overlap between the pieces. The next step is fundamental, and many people ignore it. Bake in a preheated oven at 180 degrees for approximately 12 minutes. This step ensures complete dehydration and makes the shells brittle, facilitating the later grinding process. When the peels are completely dry and cool, it's time to turn them into a fine powder. You can use a processor, powerful blender, or even a coffee grinder dedicated to this purpose. The goal is to obtain a powder that is as fine as possible, similar to the texture of a powder, or refined flour. Once ground, strain the powder through a fine sieve to eliminate larger particles that have not been processed well. Store in a dark, tightly closed glass jar in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. The powder prepared in this way can last up to 6 months without losing its nourishing and medicinal properties. For consumption, the recommended dose varies between 1/4 and a teaspoon per day, depending on your needs. Remember that more doesn't mean better. It's all about constancy, not too much. And if you're wondering how to consume this powder without feeling that peel taste, read on. I'm going to reveal several delicious and practical ways to incorporate it into your daily diet without sacrificing flavor. Your ultimate guide to incorporating this treasure into your daily life. Now that you know how to prepare your eggshell powder, the practical question arises: how to consume it? The good news is that there are dozens of creative and tasty ways to incorporate it into your routine. One of the simplest ways is to add half a teaspoon to your morning fruit smoothie. The mild flavor of the powder virtually disappears when mixed with banana, strawberry, or other pronounced tasting fruits. Many people prefer to add it to natural yogurts, thus combining the benefits of probiotics with natural calcium. An interesting technique is to mix the powder with a little pure honey and consume a small portion after meals. The sweet taste of honey completely masks the presence of the supplement, making the experience quite enjoyable. For those who like homemade baking, a pinch of the powder can be added to the dough of breads, cakes, and cookies. Distributed throughout the recipe, it becomes imperceptible to the palate while nutritionally enriching the food. Some creative people make small homemade capsules using edible rice paper available at health food stores. That way, they can take your supplement as a tablet without having to worry about the taste or texture. A surprisingly effective technique is to mix the powder into the homemade tomato sauce during cooking, taking advantage of the acidity to facilitate complete dissolution. The result is a nutritionally superior sauce without any noticeable change in flavor or final appearance. For reflux sufferers, a small amount dissolved in lemon drop water can offer immediate relief. The alkalizing action of calcium carbonate neutralizes excess acid, providing comfort in a natural way. Athletes and intense physical activity practitioners can add the powder to their post-workout replacement drink. This helps with muscle recovery and the maintenance of bone density, which is often compromised in high-impact workouts. A valuable tip: start with small amounts and gradually increase to allow your body to adapt. Observe how it feels and adjust as needed, always respecting the recommended daily consumption limits. Remember that consistency trumps quantity. It's better to take small doses daily than large amounts sporadically. And now that you have practical ideas, are you ready to learn about the amazing benefits that go beyond bone health? Beyond bones, the surprising effects that doctors don't reveal. When we talk about eggshells, the most well-known benefit is, without a doubt, the strengthening of bones. But scientists and researchers have found that its effects go far beyond the skeletal system. A study conducted by the University of Michigan revealed surprising results on cardiovascular health. Participants who regularly consumed eggshell powder showed improvement in blood pressure levels after 6 months. This is because calcium, in its natural form, helps regulate heartbeat and blood flow. In addition, Japanese researchers have discovered anti-inflammatory properties in the inner membranes of the shells. These membranes contain collagen and other proteins that help reduce inflammatory processes in the body. For those who suffer from seasonal allergies, there are consistent reports of symptom reduction after regular use of the powder. The mineral balance provided by regular consumption seems to modulate the immune response in a positive way. Another rarely mentioned benefit is related to oral health and the prevention of gum problems. The natural calcium in the peel strengthens tooth enamel and promotes healthier gums, reducing bleeding and inflammation as proven in recent dental research. Premenopausal and menopausal women report significant improvement in symptoms such as hot flashes and irritability. This may be related to the presence of microelements that help with hormonal balance during this delicate phase. For diabetics, there is preliminary evidence that regular consumption helps stabilize glucose levels. Researchers at the University of Texas noted that calcium appears to improve insulin sensitivity in some cases. In the digestive system, the powder acts as a mild alkalizer, relieving symptoms of acidity and improving nutrient absorption. People with skin conditions such as eczema and psoriasis report improvements after a few weeks of regular consumption. The explanation lies in the ability of the minerals present in the peel to aid in cell regeneration and skin barrier function. What few know is that the powder also contains significant amounts of magnesium, which is essential for the nervous system. This explains why many users report improved sleep quality and reduced night cramps after starting their use. And if you thought the benefits stopped there, wait until you find out how it can transform your coffee experience. From sore knees to an active life, the possible transformation. The knees are often the first to protest when age advances or weight increases. Joint pain limits simple activities such as climbing stairs, squatting to pick something up, or simply walking through the park. For many Americans, the standard solution has been anti-inflammatories, pain relievers, and, in more severe cases, invasive surgery. But more and more health professionals are recognizing the key role of nutrition in joint health. The calcium carbonate in eggshells not only acts by strengthening bones, but also on cartilage and connective tissues. Recent research from Cornell University has shown that the collagen present in the membranes of the shells has a chondroprotective effect. This means that it helps preserve and regenerate the cartilage that serves as a natural buffer between the joints. A clinical study of 62 patients with osteoarthritis showed remarkable results after 90 days. The group that consumed eggshell powder daily reported an average reduction of 40% in joint pain. Even more impressive was the improvement in mobility, with participants reporting the ability to perform activities they had abandoned years ago due to physical limitations. Dr. Robert Jenkins, a rheumatologist at the Mayo Clinic, notes that the effect is not instantaneous, but it is consistent and progressive. According to him, many patients noticed the first signs of improvement after 3 to 4 weeks of continuous use. A crucial aspect is that, unlike medications, the consumption of eggshells does not have significant side effects. This makes it an especially valuable option for long-term treatments and prevention of future problems. Maria Santiago, a 68-year-old retired teacher, says she could barely play with her grandchildren. "My knees hurt so much that even getting up from my chair was a daily challenge," she reports with emotion. After incorporating eggshell powder into her routine for 2 months, she noticed a difference that she considered almost miraculous. "Last week, I played ball in the garden with my 7-year-old grandson for the first time in years," he shares proudly. Stories like Maria's are no exception, but they are becoming increasingly common among people discovering this solution. And you, are you ready to take the first steps towards a life with more movement and fewer limitations? They doubted until they tried it. Stories that will inspire you. John Harrison, a 49-year-old accountant from Michigan, considered the idea of consuming eggshells completely absurd. His wife insisted for months, showing articles and videos about the benefits, but he remained skeptical and resistant. After a routine exam revealed low bone density for her age, she finally decided to try what she called grandma's medicine. "I agreed to try it for 90 days, just to prove it wouldn't work," he confesses with a smile. 3 months later, not only was he continuing with the habit, but he had become an enthusiast and advocate of the practice. His calcium levels normalized, and to his surprise, the constant hip pain he attributed to sedentary work subsided. "What impressed me the most was the improvement in my nails, which have always been fragile and brittle," says John. Emily Thompson, a Portland-based dietitian, initially doubted the effectiveness of eggshell powder compared to commercial supplements. He decided to conduct a small experiment with 5 of his clients who suffered from osteopenia, an early stage of bone loss. After 6 months of consistent use, all 5 showed improvement on bone densitometry scans, with an average increase of 3% in mineral density, a result rarely seen with conventional supplements. "What converted me was seeing the results in the exams, numbers that don't lie," says the professional, now an advocate of the practice. Martha Johnson, a 73-year-old grandmother from Texas, had given up her favorite hobby, gardening. His sore hands and stiff joints made it impossible to handle the garden tools for more than a few minutes. His neighbor, originally from Mexico, taught him how to prepare and use eggshell powder, a tradition in his family. "I thought I had nothing to lose, since the painkillers were affecting my stomach," Martha explains. In just 2 months, she was able to take care of her rose garden again, an activity that brings her enormous satisfaction.
My hands are not yet those of a 20-year-old, but the difference is like overnight, she celebrates. Robert Miller, a 55-year-old marathoner, faced frequent stress fractures in his feet during training. On the recommendation of his physical therapist, he began to use eggshell powder, along with vitamin D3 daily. In a year without new fractures, he managed to complete 2 marathons and improve his personal time in both.
And do you also need to see it to believe it? Or are you willing to give this ancestral medicine a chance?
The coffee trick that revolutionized my morning.
For many Americans, the day doesn't really begin until after the first cup of coffee.
This morning ritual is sacred, a moment of personal pleasure before facing daily responsibilities.
However, for people with sensitive stomachs, this pleasure often comes with a price to pay. The natural acidity of coffee can cause heartburn, reflux, and gastric discomfort, especially when consumed on an empty stomach. It was exactly this problem that afflicted Carlos Mendez, a 42-year-old university professor and unconditional coffee lover. I had to choose between my morning pleasure and a comfortable stomach, he says of his daily dilemma. Until he discovered a simple and ancient trick used by traditional baristas in some regions of Europe. The secret? Add an almost imperceptible pinch of eggshell powder to the coffee before brewing. The calcium carbonate present in the peel has alkalizing properties that neutralize some of the acidity without compromising the flavor. In fact, many connoisseurs claim that coffee is even smoother and less bitter with this addition. The most surprising thing about this trick is not only the improvement in digestive comfort, but how it turns coffee into a beverage that now contributes to bone health, rather than potentially wearing it down. Caffeine, when consumed in excess, can interfere with the body's absorption of calcium. By adding the husk powder, you not only counteract this negative effect, but you turn your coffee into a vehicle for essential nutrients. For Carlos, this discovery was revolutionary. Now I can drink my coffee quietly, knowing that I am taking care of my bones at the same time. The way to apply it is simple. Just add a 1/4 teaspoon of the powder to the ground coffee before brewing. For methods such as French press or brewed coffee, add the grounds directly along with the coffee grounds into the filter. In the case of automatic coffee makers, mix the peel powder well with the coffee before placing it in the portafilter. The result is a drink that is gentler on the palate and stomach, with additional benefits for the whole body. This small adjustment can make a significant difference for people with gastric sensitivity or those concerned about bone health. And the best part? It's a trick that costs virtually nothing and takes advantage of something you'd normally throw away. The account that transforms your health. How much calcium your body craves. Understanding your daily calcium needs is critical to a balanced approach to bone health. These needs vary drastically according to age, gender, health conditions, and lifestyle. Growing children, for example, need 600 to 800 milligrams daily to form strong, healthy bones. Adolescents, especially during the growth spurt, require up to 1,300 milligrams per day. It is at this stage that the peak of bone formation occurs, largely determining skeletal health for the rest of life. Adult women need an average of 1,000 milligrams daily, increasing to 1,200 after the age of 50. Adult males require about 1,000 milligrams, with a slight increase after the age of 70. Pregnant and breastfeeding women have high needs, reaching 1,300 milligrams to support both their health and that of the baby. People with a family history of osteoporosis need to be especially aware of these minimum recommendations. The same goes for individuals with diseases that affect nutrient absorption, such as celiac disease or Crohn's disease. Most alarmingly, recent studies show that more than 70% of Americans consume less calcium than they should, creating a silent epidemic of bone fragility that only manifests itself when it's too late. 1 teaspoon of eggshell powder contains approximately 8 to 1,000 milligrams of bioavailable calcium. This means that a small daily dose can meet practically all your needs, depending on your age group. But beware, more is not always better when it comes to calcium supplementation. Excess can also cause problems, such as the formation of kidney stones in predisposed people, or interference with the absorption of other minerals, Therefore, the ideal is always to balance supplementation with a diet rich in green vegetables, seeds, and other foods that are sources of calcium.
Another crucial factor often overlooked is the need for vitamin D for proper calcium absorption. Without adequate levels of this vitamin, much of the calcium ingested will not be used by the body. 15 minutes a day of moderate sun exposure, or the inclusion of foods rich in vitamin D, can make all the difference.
Eggs, fatty fish, and sun-exposed mushrooms are excellent natural sources of this essential vitamin. Remember that magnesium also plays a key role in bone health, working in synergy with calcium. Now that you understand exactly how much calcium your body needs, let's find out how to further enhance its benefits.
The golden recipe: how to enhance the effect with 3 ingredients. If eggshell powder is already powerful, imagine combined with other nourishing ingredients. This special recipe enhances the benefits and improves the flavor. The first ingredient is bananas, rich in potassium, which regulates blood pressure and strengthens cardiovascular health, in addition to improving mood. The unpeeled apple is the second, a source of fiber, antioxidants, and boron, which helps in the absorption of calcium. The third is cinnamon, with anti-inflammatory properties and benefits for bone formation.
To prepare, mash half a banana, grate half an apple, mix half a teaspoon of eggshell powder, and finish with cinnamon.
Consume on an empty stomach or between meals, or blend with water or vegetable milk.
This combination strengthens bones, improves digestion, and increases energy.
Always consult a doctor if you have specific conditions.
A simple step that can transform your bone health and well-being. We have reached the end of this journey, but for you it may be the beginning of a new phase, free of chronic pain and limitations. Now you know that a valuable resource for your health was being wasted on a daily basis. With ancestral wisdom and modern science, it is possible to transform your routine and regain quality of life. Imagine waking up without stiffness, participating in activities without fear of pain, and planning outings with confidence.
It is not a miracle cure, but a natural tool that complements medical care. Small daily actions generate big changes.
Strengthening bones is essential for maintaining independence and fully enjoying life. Simple and affordable solutions often outweigh the expensive and complicated ones. Share this knowledge with those you love.
Now, the choice is yours. Continue to discard this treasure, or adopt a habit that can improve your health and well-being. The power is in your hands.